Hi everyone. In this tutorial, I'm going to talk about all the other scripts that helps you in terms of adding design elements and also swapping, replacing images and things like that. You should watch this script after you've gone through the place image as well as the horizontal and vertical script. Okay, so we're going to continue off from the previous video of the horizontal layout tool. We created this layout. So next we're going to talk about the different other scripts that helps in terms of adjusting your design. So the first one we'll go over is the add background border. A lot of times when you have a collage of images like this, it helps to have some sort of larger background opaque border to group the entire set of photos. So what we're going to do is we're going to select all the images that consist of this rectangular group of photos. Okay, so we have selected all the images into this in the image layer selection. Then we're going to go add background border, hit run. Okay, so you should follow along with the documentation. The options for the background border includes the thickness, how wide the border extends beyond the group of photos. So by default it's 3. Also the opacity, and then the color. You can either pick a color, or by default you have white, gray, or black. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a gray background border to this with a default thickness factor of 3, and we're going to change the opacity to, let's just change it to around 97%. Okay, we hit submit, and you can see what it does here is it automatically then calculated the exact spacing for the group of photos, and then it applied a larger rectangular border behind the back of these photos, and this is a design element that you see used in our designs a lot, and photographers seem to be pretty happy with that. Okay, so moving forward, let's say, okay, well, this looks good, but you notice that this design may be better if we add strokes around all the images, and so that's what we're going to do next. We're going to select all the image layers again, and this time we're going to run the script called stroke selected layers. Okay, so we run that, and again, a lot of these dialog boxes are similar. It asks for the color, it asks for the stroke width, and it can have an opacity option. So for the stroke, we're going to default to 3. We're going to create a black stroke with full 100% opacity. Okay, and then we click on add stroke, and you can see how it immediately added strokes, and let me zoom in here to all the photos here. So this is very useful, especially when you're dealing with so many photos. You don't want to manually either have to add the stroke yourself or manually copy a stroke style from one layer to another. One thing about this stroke layers script is that it can also be used to remove strokes from multiple layers. That way, in case you decide no, it looks better without the strokes, you can use this script to remove those. Okay. So while we have this layout, let me talk about another useful tool, which is the swap images. Okay, so let's just say, you know, the top 2 images here, the middle image, let's say if you think it looks better on the left hand side, and this left image should look better in the center position, you can run the swap image script to swap those 2 locations. So what we're going to do is we're going to select the first image and then the second image here. So we have these 2 images selected. We're going to run the swap image. Now the swap image does not have a dialog pop-up. When you run it, it will just automatically swap the 2 images that you have selected. If you have selected less than 2 or more than 2 images, it will give you an error. Okay, so we selected 2, and just watch carefully when we hit the swap images. It will take a second, and bam, it will then swap the location of those 2 images. Obviously, in order for this to work perfectly, the 2 images that you're swapping, they have to be exactly the same size. If they're not the same size, the swap operation will still proceed, but you will probably have just a misaligned image that you will need to fix later on. Okay, so that's what swap images does. Okay. Next, I'm going to talk about a very simple script called add color bar. A lot of times when we're doing design layouts, the designers will put a bar, either a color bar or something like that, as a framing element. So for here, let's say we need a bar up here. So we do a selection here. We run add color bar. Okay. Again, choose color, choose opacity. They have defaults of white, gray, or black. So here we're going to pick a color. We're going to pick a color, for example, blue, to try to match the wall background here. Click OK and hit submit, and bam. Nothing special. It just does a color bar here. This way, it automatically creates a new layer. So it saves you a few operations. You don't have to say new layer. You don't have to do a paint bucket and things like that. So I'm going to create another bar here. Add color here. Add color bar. Pick a color here. Click OK. Submit. There you go. So you have two color bars here. What else? That's about it for this tutorial. In the next tutorial, we'll talk about the other functions that will help along with your designing.